Good afternoon. Today I'm really excited to bring you an honest and informative review on the new Ledlenser NEO5R. There's two things I am really super passionate about. One of them is tents and the other one is lights or head torches. So it's great to have the opportunity to do this now. So this NEO5R is designed as a running light. I'm primarily actually an urban running light, and we'll sort of come to more about that in a moment. But apart from that, I've actually used it on a few camping trips, and I'll tell you what, I'll be bringing it on my next camping trip as well. So look, if you're not a runner, I wouldn't actually let the fact that it's been designed specifically for running actually put you off. You know, if you're doing any activity where you're looking for a light, you know, that is very, very comfortable, lightweight, and pretty powerful with decent run times, then you know it fits the bill pretty well for a number of different activities. Now, one of the things I noticed about this light when I was taking it out of the box was just its kind of like compact dimensions, and I think the easiest way for me to show you that is to compare it to two other Ledlenser lights that I have. Now, this is the 8-7R core, which is a similarly designed light in that it has a light unit at the front and the battery pack at the rear. And you can see there still is a massive difference with the actual size there of the light unit and also of the battery pack. Now, also comparing it just quickly to an M87, you know, again, you know, it's just tiny compared with that. Although to be fair to the M87, everything here is contained on the front of the light. And I think that the big benefit of this is that it just really balances the weight. You know, that's the big benefit here of having a light at the front and a battery power at the back. So now let's look at some of the basics of the light. And when I say basics, for me that kind of means the light output, the run times and the weight. So the light output, you have a boost mode which is 600 lumens and that lasts for 10 seconds. You then have, I have to concentrate to remember these, you have a high power mode which is 300 lumens and that runs for 4 hours. You then have a mid-power mode, which is 100 lumens, and that runs for 8 hours. And then you have a low-power mode, which is 25 lumens, and I think it's like 35 hours. So that's just your run times and the actual light outputs. So as an urban running light, I think the light actually performs very well. Suppose if you think about it, as an urban running light, you don't want it to be super bright because you're sort of blinding other sort of users, whether they're other pedestrians or cars. But obviously you want enough light, you know, to actually see well enough. So I find it really strikes that good balance. On the high mode, which is at 300 lumens, I actually even found that when I ran down some sort of country roads and some country lanes, that the light was, you know, easily enough for that as well. And if you look here at this clip, this is me just sort of running down a sort of dark lane. And you can see this setting at the moment, it's on the high setting, and then the next setting that I'll show you, it's actually on the boost. Now, comfort wise, this is easily the most comfortable headlamp I've ever used, but in saying that, a lot of that's actually down, well, there's a lot of things it's down to, but look, the weight is one aspect of your 104 grams. Also the fact that the light unit and the head and the battery are separate, and that just means that the weight on the light is quite well balanced. But also for comfort, you've got a siliconized sort of like rubberized bit here on the light, and then also the battery pack. This is a very broad, it's quite broad, and it's also curved and siliconized, and it just really contours, you know, into your head really well. And I found that I can have that on and it's super stable, not moving around, with very little tension on the band. Now, I suppose one of the first things I also look for when I pick a light out is like build quality. And you know, as soon as you pick it up, it's kind of like soft, pretty soft touch, and on all the buttons, you know, here when I'm just cycling through the different options, you know, the switch feels very firm and positive. So it certainly seems like it's pretty well made. It has an ingress protection rating also, I think, of like IP54. And also just regarding build quality, the light comes with standard with a 2-year warranty, but if you register it, you actually get a 7-year warranty. And I think that's pretty much, you know, best in the industry. So what are some of the other features of this light? Quite a few actually. So you've got a chest strap, which is supplied in case you sort of want and prefer to have the light actually from your chest, or you want to maybe have a head torch at the top, and this as an additional light. You've got a magnetic charging cable, and there's a couple of little ports here, and that just pops on, you know, for your charging. I'll talk a bit more about this in a moment. The band is a reflective band, so it just means you can be seen from the sides. And then at the back, there's like this light here is an LED, a red LED light, so you can kind of be seen from behind. So it just means that other people can see you from all angles. You can, not sure if I mentioned it before, you can tilt or move, the actual angle of the unit itself. And then the functions in respect of it just simply flicks through your different power levels. And then at any point, so say for example, that's it on a high. At any point, if I double press that, I'll pop it up onto the boost. I'll stay on the boost in for 10 seconds, and then it'll just drop down to the setting that you previously actually had it on. There's a locking mechanism on it where I think you can press and hold this for 5 seconds. So it just simply means it doesn't, if you're taking on a trip somewhere and you have it packed in a rucksack, it just means it doesn't get accidentally switched on with that locking switch on it. So now I come down to just concluding this and my sort of final thoughts. So look, my first impression of the light was really good, and that was just because this head unit here is so small. The light's very, very compact, and the weight on it is really balanced. So when I went out for a run, I just noticed, that I barely felt it on my head because it was just so comfortable. And that's also down to the siliconized bit on the front of the light here, and also the siliconized and broadness of the battery pack. I found I had enough light for urban running, and even when I went off on the sort of roads with no street lighting, there was easily enough light to run safely. And I actually ran on a few trails and had no issues, whatsoever. And I really like that broad spread of the light. Now, the magnetic, if there is a negative about the light, I know some people sort of don't like this idea of the magnetic charging and the cable. And yes, it is another cable to manage, but it just means that the light unit itself is completely sealed and protected from accidental damage, like, water ingress or dirt getting in there. And I would prefer that at the small detriment of just having to always know where that cable is. And certainly in the future, there are going to be more and more cables that have, it's a magnetic charging to USB-C, and I know that that's probably the way forward, with charging from USB-Cs, because I think they can charge quite quicker. So once that becomes more established, then I don't really see that as being a negative at all. So yes, I would definitely recommend this light. So thank you very much for watching, and I'd be interested to hear, what your comments are on this light as well. So until next time.